Hello everyone, it's me, Maximilian Zantis, and welcome back to the long-forgotten YouTube channel of Rosentwig, aka my beard doesn't want to stick. Hey, that actually rhymed. Today we are doing something related to horror. That's also why I'm looking the way I'm looking. That's my horror costume. The biggest horror here is that my beard doesn't stick. Other than that, we are doing something pretty interesting today. You probably have read it in the title by now. It's related to creepypasta or horror in general. A while ago, a friend of mine approached me and asked me if I could make music for his creepypasta channel. If you are not familiar with creepypastas, I'm guessing you are, but if you're not, it's basically like those kind of horror stories, mostly related to some kind of internet thing. Well-known ones are Slenderman or how's that guy called again who says "go to sleep"? I don't remember. Jeff the Killer, that's him. Stuff like that. But also, I think SCP is also a creepypasta, but I'm not 100% sure. So basically, he just approached me and asked me if I could like make some background type of music. My idea was to actually make something a little bit different than what most channels in this kind of realm use. Since a lot of the things I do and a lot of the things I aspire to do more are composing and working in general for video games. And I'm very passionate about this. Most projects I have been on in this kind of realm have more been like smaller projects, and I'm really looking forward to working on a big project and really getting my creative juices going. But yeah, that basically led me to learning a lot about this kind of stuff. And one of the things that exist in video game music is dynamic music. Dynamic music just basically means something happens in the medium and something as a result happens in the music. And that's kind of the thing I wanted to do with this thing. So I wanted to approach it in a somewhat dynamic way, a somewhat interactive way, if you will. Essentially what I did is I decided to compose multiple layers, which I'm going to show in a second. And those layers are just ideas that kind of stack together, but that also work independently. So if I will go through them in a bit, you will listen, or you will be able to hear that every layer kind of works on its own, but all of the layers combined also work together. So what this is basically kind of like a build your own horror soundtrack kind of deal. So my idea was to send him all those files that are in a 32 bar loop, I think, and that just go on and on and on, and he's able to just via crossfading and fading in and out, making things louder, making things quieter, essentially choose which kind of thing he wants. So if he wants to just have a little bit of a background drone, I got that covered. If he wants some sound effects, I got some sound effects covered. If he wants like some big thing going on, I got that covered as well. So without further ado, let's get right into the thing. Okay, so basically what I did was take multiple stems. I composed all of these in different kind of ways. Some of those things came from contact libraries like the Thrill from Native Instruments. Some of those things came from Omnisphere. Some of those things I recorded myself. Some of those things are just stuff I synthesized in either Omnisphere or Massive. So these are the main loops going on, and I also have like a little bit of an intro layer thing, and I also have a few sounds that he can basically just layer somewhere when he wants it. So the idea was, I think I actually started with this. Like it already, if you read it, it actually says starter one bass drone layer. I first had in mind to kind of have something evolving and having like a strict structure. But I decided to, in the end, just basically leave it up to him. So, okay, I'm just gonna remove this fucking beard, man. So in the end, I just decided to leave it up to him to decide what should play and what shouldn't play. I'm just gonna start with, let's actually sort this a little bit. Sorry, I should have done this before, but this is I haven't been making videos in a while, if you haven't noticed. So I just assigned every file a mixer channel. Actually, one thing I totally forgot to say, what I'm trying to do here today is not only show you how I how this whole system works, but I also wanted to kind of make the soundtrack version of this. So basically just arrange a version that I can upload on my SoundCloud channel and just kind of use as a you know, just arranged soundtrack version. Obviously, again, this is a pack, like kind of like a dynamic system, and it can result in multiple different versions, but this is just one version I arranged, kind of showing how I would use this kind of system. So again, let's first go through all the layers so I can show you. This is the first one. So this is just kind of a very bassy, kind of noisy layer for the background. It kind of has a little bit of an it does evolve a little bit, but it doesn't really do that much. Then there's also the high note tension, classic horror sound, especially in video games. This one evolves a little bit, just gets a little bit louder. Then there's glitchy sharp metal, which I really like. Sounds very scary. And kind of like these metallic kind of downsampled things that kind of sound like voices. It's very cool. It also gets a little bit more aggressive towards the end. And very distorted. That's tube saturation. Then I got the motive, which kind of is the melodic idea of the whole thing. And this is really just for specific moments, since in modern horror, you don't really tend to do that much in melodic ways, but I really enjoy like 80s horror and other kinds of stuff like that. That's really like melodic and stuff. So this is kind of like the melodic idea of it. And yeah, then it just does a little few variations. Then there's also this scary noise layer, which is kind of like vinyl noise with a phaser and with a flanger and stuff. Then there's a weeping high layer, which is like a bowed instrument. Also, obviously, everything is kind of loaded with saturation or distortion. Then there are strings and moving voices. This one, I think, was from the Omnisphere library, which was really cool. I really liked the sound, so I had to get it in. It's kind of like these panning voices and stuff, which is really cool. And then there's like just like this electric tension layer, which I added. Then again, I got like this kind of intro drone layer sound, which is just basically the first sound that evolves a little bit, starts out just like with the bass sound, then evolves into this kind of industrial sound. Then I also have a one shot, and the same one shot again. I think this is just the softer one. It's just a little bit of variation. And then I also got this, which is very scary. This one kind of reminded me of the movie Sinister, so I really had to include this because I really enjoy. I think Sinister is a great movie, but the soundtrack is incredible. So yeah, let's just kind of begin with something. Oh, this is also how everything sounds together. It obviously is a lot. You don't necessarily have to push it all together, but you can. Again, this is just kind of one way of doing it. So I'm just gonna fade it in, I think. Just a little bit at least. Let's add that here. Actually, I think I'm not even gonna start with this one. I think I'm gonna start with the high tension node. Yeah, I like that one. Okay, I'm gonna add a volume automation. Gonna add another one here. Gonna fade that in. So this one's playing right now, and then I'm just gonna figure out what I want to have next. Maybe the tension? No, that wouldn't really fit. That would be cool, but doesn't fit yet. This one would be cool if we fade it in somewhere here. So let's just do that, I guess. So this one starts. We don't want it to have it like instantly. Maybe slowly start fading it in from here. So now I'm thinking about actually getting these moving voices in next. Because I like this start with the high tension and then the scary noise layering in. And then at this point the sharp metal getting in. I want to wait with the bass drone layer a little bit. Because I feel like the bass really fills it out. And I can play with this a little bit longer. So let's see what happens if I fade this in here. Maybe maybe fade out the high tension here. So what we did now is I now introduced those strings and those moving voices at this part. So these are kind of drifting in while everything is going a little bit down, because I want this to have the main tension, if that makes sense. Except the scary noise layer, because I just think it's a really good background layer. Okay, the tension layer definitely needs a little bit, needs to be quiet at that point. At least for what I'm trying to do here. Again, there's no right or wrong with this. You can basically just let him play it all together and just like slowly introduce things, but I'm trying to like make it very expressive. So now I decided to let the bass drone layer and the motif, the motif layer fade in after everything gets kind of quiet. So we kind of have like this point here, and then we kind of let everything fall out a little bit. Then I think it would be cool if so actually I want this to be quite a little longer. So everything else can shine through a little bit better at the beginning. And I also need the high tension layer to be normal loudness again. Okay, so I essentially kind of finished it. I have every layer playing at some point. I don't have a situation where everything plays, I think. Except maybe, yes, I actually do have here. I think everything plays here. So I'm just gonna play it through and see if I can, if I notice anything, because I haven't played it through yet properly. Because I don't know if it, so, you know, I'm not 100% sure if everything works, and this is the best way to check it. So we're starting with the high note, tension. We're getting some of those, like, flangy, scary noise vinyl things. Next thing is going to be the glitchy sharp metal. Coming in. I think this could be a little bit quieter here. I don't need it to be that loud at that point. Some of those voices are coming in. It's nice. Actually, I don't think this should go here, so maybe let's use it somewhere back there. Maybe here, actually, kind of with this together. So we kind of got this like scary thing going on right here. And then everything essentially kind of lowers its intensity in a way. Maybe that, oh yeah, that would actually be really cool as a transition sound. Okay, let's just find kind of like the white. Oh yeah, that's a really nice transition sound. That's really cool. So essentially we got like kind of like this pre-layer which just kind of sets the mood really nice. And we got I used the one-shots basically as a transition sound to transition into the main motive. So everything basically is playing there except the weeping high layer, which is coming in a little bit later. Kind of like the static in the background is coming from this electric tension layer, and the rest is kind of adjusted volume, like according to what kind of fits with this track right now. And now we slowly got the weeping high layer coming in. And then we got everything fading out, essentially. Yeah, and that's it. I think this is pretty cool. Let me know if you enjoyed this. Let me know if you want me to further break down the initial, like every single stem and kind of show what I did, more of the process, kind of the stuff. I'm planning on making much more like behind the scenes vlog type of documentation things. I know I've said this multiple times already, but I'm really trying to get my social media thing on point. And yeah, so I will see you very soon, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, see you next time. Bye.